Beep, 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 beep. Look, got the Hollywood glow again. Hey. Looks like a Spielberg bloody film now, doesn't it? Hey, how you doing? Extraordinary few days. Umzi Yusuf in Scotland. By Scotland. You know, land of the wave. Warrior teachers will get that. You can expect trouble now, because he is an authoritarian nutter. Right, so good luck. You know, what a wonderful country, and I genuinely thought they'd get sensible and get rid of him, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen at all. He's actually firmly embedded now at the top. We'll see how bad the dumpster fire can get. He's going to take the UK government to court, and it's just painful to watch. But there we are. Right, okay, this is the last week for the Warrior Teacher Programme for the April start, so if you want it, click links in the doobers. If not, please do buy me a coffee, or if you can support me by Stripe, you can do. All the links are in the descriptions. Please subscribe. That's the most important thing, really. Let's get me up to 4,000 followers. That'd be great, wouldn't it? 4,000 subscribers. Okay, so what have I got? Health Secretary calls on NHS quangos to ban diversity officers and review their membership to Stonewall in crackdown on woke job roles. At least that's the headline. And the headline has come from the Daily Fail, who I know most of you hate, on the 20th of March. It's been in other news places, so if you can't find, if you don't want to read the Fail, go and find it somewhere else or just listen to me. Oh, there's a choice. Right, so what we got here. The Health Secretary has written to the head of NHS quangos to demand that they review their membership for Stonewall and ban diversity officers. Don't think he has. Not quite. In a letter seen by the Mail on Sunday, why haven't we seen it? Why isn't that public now? Stephen Barclay insisted that organisations, including NHS England, report on whether inclusion schemes were value for money. They'll do it. Oh, this has meant this and this has meant that. They'll make it up and you won't be able to unpick it. I'm not convinced that government gets this, you know. These aren't stupid people. You don't get where they are by being stupid, do you? You know, you get where they are by trying to understand things and, bring people along with you. He insisted that the organisations get value for money. I mean, anybody can fudge that. He also said that they should no longer employ dedicated diversity inclusion officers, instead give these duties to existing managers. I'd get rid of it altogether. It's a breach of the equality duty. It's a breach of the public sector equality duty. This isn't enough. It's not enough. The letter was sent to the chief executives of 10 NHS arm's-length bodies, including the Care Quality Commission, this CQC, who I believe are captured, the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence. I don't think NICE are. Last time I looked, NICE were okay. It might be worth somebody else having a look and seeing if NICE are okay. For those of you watching abroad or listening abroad, NICE, they do an awful lot of research, and it's a really serious organisation that deals mostly with, facts and making sure we get health right. So they're not usually ones to mess around. And he's also written to the Heath, the Health or Security Agency as well. The Heath Security, well, that means health security. I'm not sure if it's a misprint. In it, Mr. Barclay pointed out that the Department of Health and Social Care has not renewed its membership to Stonewall, after concluding that it did not represent the amount of value for money. Of course it doesn't. It's a con. It's a con. All these big businesses being conned. In these times of financial pressures, he said, and wider societal concern about these issues, I would ask that you, as a member of the wider health family, now review whether your organisation is getting value for money from your diversity and inclusion memberships, and, if not, consider any steps that you could take to address that, such as following the department's example and allowing any association subscriptions that you have to lapse or be cancelled, he wrote. He set a deadline for the bodies to report back by May the 1st. So we're going to wait to the end of April to see what happens. In his letter, they just won't respond. In his letter, he also said he believed that diversity and inclusion was everyone's responsibility and should be picked up through normal management processes and as part of everyone's role, rather than through the use of external providers or discrete dedicated roles within organisations. I don't even know what he means by that. I quite like the idea, though. It's your responsibility, nobody else's. The first rule of the EDI, equality, diversity and inclusion, is leave people alone. What they're practicing is diversity, inclusivity and equity. Different things, see. If it was EDI, I wouldn't mind so much. Even that's got its faults. You've got to be careful because it grows like any bureaucratic nonsense. A Whitehall source said these NHS bodies should be spending money on patient care and frontline services. You're damn right. Rather than diversity and backroom bureaucracy. Somebody needs to get there and slash the NHS. Give it back to the doctors, the nurses and the ancillary workers. Dr. Barclay is believed to have been motivated to send a letter after new guidelines were issued to the NHS staff to treat all patients as gender neutral. You do that with me and we're going to have a problem. Because if you treat me as gender neutral, I'm going to assume you're homophobic. It's that simple. Right? Okay? It's not complicated at all, right? It is not possible to practice this and not be homophobic. It is not possible, right? Likewise, it is not possible to identify yourselves as trans and non-binary and not be homophobic. Right? Not possible. They are mutually exclusive. He ordered the investigation of the dicta after learning taxpayers had funded the guide to inclusive communication, 96 pages, if you remember. It instructs doctors not to use phrases such as Mr. and Mrs. or he and she until a patient has confirmed their gender identity, which meant you had to confirm one. I don't have one. It's a nonsense made up in the 1950s. The researchers received £164,964 government grant from the National Institute for Healthcare and Care Research to study how clinicians could improve their communications with LGBT patients. The reason I don't think they've got it is because they don't yet recognise that this has got nothing to do with LGB. This is all about the T and the Q+. Okay? The LGB does not belong with the TQ+. It's over. Okay? We want nothing to do with you. And I don't speak for myself. I'm speaking for a lot of gay men. Because they keep telling me. So I'm going to say it. Gay men have got nothing to do with the TQ+. Nothing. All right? You're in fact the antithesis of what we are. You're a homophobic idea from the get-go. All right? Not happening. Not happening. Right? Now you can be gay and feminine. Why not? Right? You can be gay and dress up. I don't care. What you can't be is something you're not. And what you cannot do is stay around me or the likes of me, men like me, gay men, and pretend that you're a believer in gender identity and queer theory, because I will not sit with you. You are toxic. And that's what every gay man should do, is to refuse to sup or sit with you while you believe this nonsense. Because remember that you only have to be treated equally when you get in services and goods or whether you're in the workplace. I'm saying to gay men, the simple way to do this is to say you're out of here, you're gone. I don't want to stay anywhere near you. You show fealty to this violent and vapid belief system, and I will have nothing to do with you. I don't care who you are. It's that simple. It's time to out the cultists and send them to Coventry. Mr. Barclay, who's the Health Secretary guy, previously told the Mail on Sunday that he would the Mail on Sunday. He didn't tell the Mail on Sunday. What am I doing? That he would be ruthless in targeting pen pushers in order to save taxpayers' money. I do hope so. Because if we get a Labour government in, they'll just put more of them in. It's not possible for them to do otherwise. They're a big state, aren't they? So it's not possible for them to do otherwise. You get Labour in, your taxes are going to go up, corporate taxes are going to go up, businesses will begin to fail, but the NHS will be fine, which is a socialist state in its own right. Really? Right, so he is planning major reforms to slash the amount of red tape and to free up doctors and nurses so they can focus on patient care. Yes. They commissioned a review at the end of last year, which is likely to recommend scrapping the number of unnecessary targets that hospitals are expected to meet. Mr. Barker's intervention comes after pay agreements were struck for some NHS workers, including nurses, junior doctors. Junior doctors are still planning to strike. The problem I find when I speak to junior doctors is the hours. It's the time they have to put in. That's the killer. You know, because once they finish being junior doctors and they do their training, they'll be around £100,000 a year. You know, doing consultancy. So, generally, yeah. But I think it's conditions that junior doctors have that seem to be the problem. That's the first thing, right? Then it comes up to a second thing, which I also think is interesting. So we'll keep it on this vid, right? Arts Council officer is hounded out of her job amid toxic transphobia row. A senior official at Britain's biggest arts funding quango claims she was wrongly branded transphobic and hounded out of her job in a toxic row over women's rights. Denise Fahmy said she was harassed and victimised in a vitriolic campaign waged against her at Arts Council England, which received $900 million from taxpayers to fund arts projects last year. Well, stop funding them. They are the most captured sector, I think, probably arts, aren't they? Next to health, arts, education, health. It's all the humanities crap in it. Stop funding them. Remove their funding. Make them all lose their jobs. Then start again. Sack the people that supply the funding, right? Take the funding back and go, okay, we're starting again. Make them go get a job. Not because I hate art. I think art's absolutely vital to our well-being and absolutely vital to us as humans, because it has a civilizing and thinking comes from art. But while they're doing this, while they've got money to do this nonsense, we have to defund them. They'll recover. The 55-year-old, Denise this is, who staff circulated a petition against her and other gender criticals on the Quango's internet website, which was signed by 100 people. Well, there's 100 people to fire. Why are they messing about? She said she was signed off with stress over the hate campaign. Now she plans to take legal action in an employment tribunal against the funding body where she worked as a visual arts officer for 15 years. She said, I've seen too many people's careers and their mental health ruined by spurious allegations of transphobia. There is a real fear in the arts. Transphobia at this point doesn't exist, by the way. It's just nonsense. Forget it. Ignore it. Who's frightened of a bloke in a dress other than the fact that he's a bloke? We know what they're capable of because we've seen it this weekend in New Zealand and in London. Their true colours. Vile. Anybody see Des O'Connor's daughter? Nauseating woman. Awful. Somebody said, can you just keep it down a bit because my child's autistic? And she went, I'm autistic, and carried on with her clackers. What Des would have to say about that? So, on a crowdfunding page, Miss Fammy said the row started after Ace pulled funding to the LGB Alliance. This, if you remember, the funding was given to Bev and the crew over at LGB Alliance in order to tell the story of gay men's lives. The charity was granted $9,000 last year. It was withdrawn over claims of transphobia from staff who worked at the organisation. The staff were running the show. Fire them! Just do it! The hell is going on? You're fired. I'll sue you. Go on then. Feel free. Oh, I can't believe we're so weak. We got so weak with these people. Fammy claims at a meeting of 400 staff last April, a senior executive said it had been a mistake to give the funding to the divisive organisation with a history of anti-trans exclusionary activity. Fire him. Or her. I don't care who it is. Fire him. Start firing these people. It's quite simple. We're firing you. Why are we firing you? Because you are incapable of doing your job. We're not firing you because of your belief system. We are firing you because you are incapable of doing your job because you do not accept reality. Fire them. What are they going to do? Sue you because you fired them because they can't do their job because they can't accept reality? And take the hit at any rate. So what? Fire them. Coinbase did it. Do you remember? A couple of years back, Coinbase did it. Got rid of 5% of the population. Cost him thousands, but he reckons he saved millions by getting rid of the morons that are running around places like the Art Council. So anyway, there's a crowdfunder. And what we saw was the drowning out of voices by intolerance. There's a crowdfunder, which I'll find and I'll put in the doobries below, so that we can give Denise a hand in suing the Arts Council, who just simply haven't done what they should have done, which is fired people for intolerance and discrimination against a woman because of her sex. What is wrong with them? Fire them, take the hit. Let's have the scrap. Start firing these woke fuckers. I'll see you later, folks. Keep jestering.